Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 859, November 7th, 2022. It was 74 degrees on this day 2 years ago in 2020, and it was 6 below on this day in 1991 as we were continuing to wrestle with that Halloween blizzard. And on this day in 1943, 8.5 inches of snow. I threw that in just because the boys were off at war and things would have been a little quiet in the countryside and in the cities, wondering how everyone was doing, but they had a 8.5-inch snowfall.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor.
I'm going to lead us
Joe
through.
Souchere.
Hi, I'm going to lead us through a puzzle today. But that'll have to be in a moment. You recall I read an email from Missy in Eau Claire who thinks her grandson is on his way to garage logicianship because of the big green egg pumpkin.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, and I managed to completely get that wrong.
Oh.
It was a pumpkin that he painted green to look like a green egg pumpkin.
God, so it's backwards.
So I said, boy, he has a green egg there, and whatever. He got a big pumpkin, and he turned it into a big egg grill.
Okay.
So it was a pumpkin.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to deface an expensive grill like that just for one day.
So I hope I have that clear now.
That'd be kind of dumb.
And Rick writes, I'm a new member of the town council. I suppose we're all new. So far, the only thing I've gained for my $10 is tracking how many heaters Kenny lights during the breaks. So far, the detectable record is 4 heaters. Makes me wonder how many are undetectable, worth every penny, he writes.
As long as you're bringing that up, by the way, if you have not signed up for the Garage Logic Town Council, for just $10 a month, $100 a year, 24/7 access is available to you. All you need to do is sign up at GarageLogic.com. We already have a couple of comments based on our conversation leading up to today's broadcast. Already?
Wow.
Stacy writes, the GL geologist.
Right.
Boy, am I getting my money's worth today with 4 exclamation points because of your ridicule of me. And Jennifer also says, Chris, don't worry. I'm 43, and I've never heard the word agrarian before either.
God almighty. Kevin McDonald writes, it's Friday, November 4, and I just received my GL Town Council certificate. Based on the mayor's signature, I must have received the 345th proud signature. Well, a little something, for the effort.
There were people that were tweeting out their photos of their GL certificates going, I wonder what number in line I was based on the signature.
The illegible signature,
Now, tonight at 2 a.m., well, I guess it'd be tomorrow morning, 2 a.m. Central Time, there will be the last total lunar eclipse until 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The eclipse, dubbed the Beaver Blood Moon lunar eclipse since it occurs during November's full beaver moon, will be visible across North America, the Pacific, Australia, and Asia. During the eclipse, the full moon will pass through the Earth's shadow as it moves behind our planet with respect to the sun, giving it a spectacular blood color in the process. You can watch the total lunar eclipse on space.com for free, courtesy of several webcasts from observatories across the U.S., and I think that's how I'd watch it because I really don't want to get up at 2 a.m.
Me either.
To take note of it.
I'm making a note of the website. I'll have to check it out in the morning.
Space.com. What did I say?
Right? Didn't you say space.com?
Yeah,
what did I say? Space.com.
Mm-hmm.
You meant to say www. Slash. Right.
Is
Boy, the
anyone
mood was
surprised that the play
gorgeous.
story in many conventional newspapers in the country today is poor nations seek climate justice?
It was,
Geez,
it was
I'm
an
shocked.
annoying thing to see and leads to what you say basically all the time.
This has nothing to do with the environment.
Exactly.
This is
Yep.
complete redistribution of Western civilization.
Yep.
It has
Equal
nothing to do.
outcomes, quote,
And this comes from
unquote.
these people who are meeting at a seaside resort in Egypt which is very luxurious, the UN's conference or whatever it is. And, they all flew there. Mm-hmm. And now they're all having their cocktails on the beach. And then we're being alerted to the idea that so-called wealthy nations, we're getting closer and closer to wealthy nations apparently agreeing to pay vast sums of money to nations that the UN will determine are somehow harmed by climate change. And I'm not shocked that this has come down to money.
Was Greta there ripping capitalism by chance?
I don't know if she'd have to sail there in some way.
Right, she probably took a boat, maybe a rowboat.
There are signs the attitude may be changing, meaning we're going to pay up. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said Thursday there is no more time to postpone. That's a common theme in their dealings with the rest of the world, is to tell us the window's closing. There's not much time. We must act now. Well, no, you're just a bunch of greedy bastards who want our money that we work hard for. But what's really, and then they always say, well, if we don't act now, that temperature is going to be 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit above pre-industrial revolution levels. Well, then doesn't it stand to reason that what's under attack is just industry itself? Mm-hmm. Industry, capitalism, freedom, Western civilization, freedom of movement, freedom of choice of where you live. This is what these people are after. And these elites will still end up going to their resorts in Egypt. The rest of us won't. We'll be wearing some sort of monk-like cloaks and meeting at the town square to sweep it with brooms made of straw.
When this came up a while back, remember the photo that accompanied some type of conference of this nature, and it was at least 200 different private jets at the airport? Mm-hmm. And then we thought, okay, well, wait a minute now. Check this out.
Well, that was at a World Economic Forum.
Thank you very much. That's exactly what it was. And I'm thinking, they don't even see their own irony here?
No, of course not. But this is just ridiculous. So, in other words, if we pay them, does that remedy the climate?
Oh, yeah, it goes away. Mm-hmm. It's like a new tax, too.
All right, my puzzle. You want to go through my puzzle?
Sure.
Oh, sure.
All right. And this is how difficult it is to keep track or to make sense of the news here on the eve of the election.
Are you guys as looking forward to tomorrow? Well, I don't even know when they'll stop, but when the political ads finally come to an end, because it's become unbearable.
I'm very looking forward to it.
Yeah, it won't break my heart when they stop. Let's put it that way.
Prior to the weekend, Biden, speaking somewhere, said, much to the chagrin of his handlers, that we're going to eliminate coal mines in this country. We're going to be going totally wind and solar. No more coal. Never mind the people who make their living getting the coal. Never mind that wind and solar are not yet ready or reliable. We're going to get rid of coal. And the lead editorial in today's Wall Street Journal is the first piece of the puzzle. Every so often, Biden blurts out what he really thinks, even if it's politically or diplomatically embarrassing. He did it again Friday when he said his administration will shut down coal plants across America. While true, his comment won't help Democratic Senate candidates or West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. Mr. Biden's campaign remarks in Carlsbad, California, were supposed to be about the semiconductor bill and his unity agenda. But during a riff on Democrats' tax and climate spending bill, he let slip that, quote, we're going to be shutting down coal plants all across America and having wind and solar, all right? Because that's what he's being told by his people. Mm-hmm. The leftists who run him.
The puppeteers.
The boast drew an indignant response from Manchin, whose state is a top coal producer and generates 90% of its electricity from coal. President Biden's comments are not only outrageous and divorced from reality, they ignore the severe economic pain the American people are feeling because of rising energy costs, Mr. Manchin said. Let me be clear, he said. This is something the president has never said to me. Manchin's trying to do a CYA there
I'll say.
because he voted for the Green New Energy Bill. Let me be clear, he added, this is something that president has never said to me. And then the Wall Street Journal notes, maybe not, but if Mr. Biden's comments came as a shock, the senator must not be paying attention. The main purpose of the climate provisions in the Inflation Reduction Act, which doesn't reduce inflation, the Inflation Reduction Act Mr. Manchin negotiated with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was to drive coal plants and, over time, all fossil fuels out of business. We currently have an administration that is anti-American energy.
Case in point.
No more drilling. There is no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
Hold on.
that was before I was president. We're trying to work on that, get that done.
He's lying.
Thank you.
He's lying.
No more drilling, no more coal.
No more retirement, no more savings.
An absolute bedrock of American life is eschewed by this administration. It's truly beyond my comprehension. No more coal, no more gas, no more oil. Thus, my puzzle. You want no more coal plants. You with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go, and then after the Wall Street Journal, I read today's Pioneer Press. And you get to page 2. North Dakota's coal country and Minnesota ore, a perfect match for EV batteries. All right. This is by Patrick Springer of the Forum News Service. I imagine that's the Fargo Forum.
Mm-hmm.
The North Dakota coal industry might seem like an improbable partner in the industry that makes materials for batteries for the rapidly growing electric vehicle market. But the odd couple marriage of a legacy fossil fuels industry and the emerging sector of low carbon emission electric vehicles helps explain why Talon Metals, we have a site here up near Aiken, remember? Why Talon Metals chose a site in Mercer County in North Dakota coal country for a processing plant to make battery materials. Remember, the President of the United States, who doesn't know what he's talking about and basically just says what he's told to say, just got done telling us Friday, no more coal plants. Only for us to learn one of the key measures of the site in North Dakota emerged at the top of the list was its ready access to tons of fly ash residue produced when coal is burned to generate electricity. North Dakota's coal-burning power plants produce more than 3 million tons per year of fly ash, which is commonly used in making cement, but otherwise must be properly disposed of, according to the U.S. Department of Energy. It turns out that the same attributes that make coal ash valuable for making concrete. I'm having a deep thought.
Uh-oh.
I'm having a deep thought.
This scares
I'm
me.
having a deep thought. It turns out that the same attributes that make coal ash valuable for making concrete, its fine particles make the concrete denser, improving workability, strength, and durability, also make it valuable in disposing of waste created by processing nickel ore for use in batteries. said Todd Mallon, Chief of External Affairs and Head of Climate Strategy for Talon Metals, which is based in Toronto. Mixing the coal ash with nickel sulfide waste helps neutralize the waste pollution, hardening it much like concrete, making it more environmentally safe. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Now, wait a minute. You got a president who's all over the map and has no standards and has no consistency in any of his thinking. He never has in a 46-year career in the Senate either. You mean to tell me that he's telling us no more coal plants because we're going electric when it develops that the fly ash generated by burning coal to generate electricity could very well be vital in the manufacture of electric batteries because it will help control the nickel sulfide waste that is generated in the mining you have to have for the batteries. These people cannot link. And the deep thought I had, maybe it's premature, the deep thought I had when I was reading that is, what else can you make from wind power? In other words, our forefathers who are ridiculed for being basically white and industrial and entrepreneurial, the people who discovered oil, for example. Well, we now know that oil is an extraordinarily important product, and probably 10,000 items require oil, from asphalt to shoes to plastic, you name it.
Plexiglass, yeah, right.
Everything. What the hell can wind? What will wind? It's wind. What is going to be done with it?
Right. We're not going to smell it in this wind.
You can turn turbine blades ideally and generate electricity. Beyond that, what are you going to get out of wind?
Yeah, nothing else.
Well,
Are you going to get some Tupperware containers?
No, I don't think so.
Are you going to get asphalt?
Nope.
Are you going to get shoelaces?
Nope.
Are you going to get clothing?
And back to the presidency and his thoughts on the mistake you're making is not only are they not thinking that deep, they don't care. They're just merely pandering to a base to remain elected.
See, that's what I think. That he's saying politically expedient things before the election to make it sound like the coal thing is going away when it's not going to go away. He knows that, and everybody else does.
But he's hurting his own party then, because any rational soul who wakes up in coal country and reads that isn't going to vote for a Democrat.
God, no.
It's just not going to vote for a Democrat.
No, that's true. But nobody's going to vote for a Democrat in Mercer County, North Dakota, anyway. Trust me.
Where is Mercer County?
Mercer County's it's to the
middle.
North. It's in the middle, above.
there.
It's above Bismarck, if that makes sense. It's north of Bismarck.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, it's damn near in Canada.
No, it's not that far. It's you can drive there in an hour.
Say,
hour and a half.
scooter riding and electric bicycle riding might be done for the season, except this Wednesday again. Highs in the 60s. But it's not too late to get to EcoFun Motorsports. Get the scooters that turn every urban errand into adventures. Get the Bentelli e-bikes and the other varieties of e-bikes. And EcoFun Motorsports will store it for you for the winter. I'm having my scooter picked up this month. I just haven't received my date yet. I think it's fantastic. And then for a fee, it's winterized, tuned up, stored in a heated warehouse. EcoFun Motorsports, home to fantastic recreational equipment, including the new golf carts.
Oh, yeah.
Fuel-injected golf carts, youth recreational equipment, youth ATVs, the electric bikes, motorcycles, the scooters. Great service, great people, great apparel. 2 locations for EcoFun Motorsports. Highway 97 in Forest Lake, immediately west of Interstate 35E, and just off Interstate 35W in Burnsville on the Service Road of Life near County Road 42, the store that opened this summer down in Burnsville. There are 2 EcoFun Motorsports locations, and I can't recommend them highly enough. I have to talk to Tim about one of those Crossfire 200 golf carts because I need one with the dump box.
I really
I can
want
see mischief.
I really want a golf cart for next spring and summer.
Man. And you tell them you're a GLer, I bet there's a little taste in it for you.
Think so?
I think so.
Right on.
EcoFunMotorsports.com.
Hi, I'm Ying Wang Pao, asking for your vote for County Commissioner if you live on the east side. I am honored to be endorsed by Sheriff Bob Fletcher.
This is Ying Wang Pao, candidate for County Commissioner. I worked with her father for 20 years. He was a great leader in the community, and I had the honor of being a very good friend with BP. She's going to carry on that same tradition as a leader in her community, working for kids and families, and she understands the importance of raising kids, but also holding them accountable and making sure the justice system doesn't just fail these children. So I'm excited to be endorsing Ying. I hope you'll support her as well.
I'm Ying Wang Pao, and I approve this message.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
The compliments, by the way, continue to come in for my drinking water system from Connecticut and Hofferman
You got
Water.
people to go to your house and drink your water?
We had some people over this weekend and they said, wait a minute, this water is fantastic. And I said, well, that's because I had a Connecticut drinking water system installed, courtesy of my friends from Hofferman Water, and the people I talked to are interested in also getting one installed in their home. Listen, it's going to make a huge difference. Trust me when I say this. It's been a couple of months now, and I am in love with my drinking water system from Hofferman Water, and I know that you will be too. And that's because a new system from Connecticut can do so many things that other softeners just simply cannot do. It's going to cut down on your salt usage, but here's what's important. It's going to protect your appliances because bad water can affect almost every aspect of your home. You get that new system from Hofferman and Connecticut, and then your showers are better. Your laundry is better, and not to mention your drinking water. I've been a customer of Hofferman and Connecticut for years and very satisfied, and you will be too. 952-894-4040. That's 952-894-4040. 4040, or if you go on their website, you can see everything that they have to offer, and that's HoffermanWater.com. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. If you give them a call, please tell them that you heard about them here on the Garage Logic Podcast. Brah!
I want to continue just briefly with this puzzle. We have an administration that's turning its back on American energy, coal and oil, most principally, while simultaneously great breakthroughs are made in alleviating some of the inevitable problems that result from mining the metals that are needed to make electric batteries. And among the breakthroughs is, it turns out, that fly ash, which results from burning coal to produce electricity. Fly ash, turns out, will be a great product to mitigate the waste brought about by nickel sulfide. Okay, where does that leave you, euphorians? Where does that leave you? Where does that leave you with a Biden sign in your yard? Vote for whoever you want, but I'm just saying, where does that leave you? You apparently buy this nonsense about climate change, which has nothing to do with the environment. It's about money. You apparently buy it. You've lost your sense of reason to deal with it. But now you learn that making an electric car battery is just frightful for the earth. If that's what you apparently are supposed to care about. It's frightful. It's dreadful. You're dragging up precious metals, and you are scouring the earth. I don't care if it's a deep mine or a strip mine. You're going to really penetrate the earth. You're going to ruffle the earth to get the materials you need for the battery in your little electric car. And that produces incredible environmental problems. Now here comes this thought that, well, wait a minute. If we can solidify that nickel sulfide waste in fly ash, it will harden it, much like fly ash hardens concrete. We will go a long way to remedying the problems caused by that waste. Okay, where are you? Where do you stand on this? Do you ever take your thinking beyond Twitter? What do you ever think about what this might mean? And do you ever stop to consider? Do you ever stop to consider anything?
No. And that's why the link I was about to make, Joe, the same line of thinking can be attributed to the rapid increase in overdose deaths and fentanyl deaths, and the fact that also includes a lot of the homelessness and the epidemic that the homelessness is in this country.
What's
right?
the link?
Well, the link is they don't see the problem of this complete disaster that we have at the border right now, where they don't think it's a problem, where you don't think that that's comparable at all, that the fact that the overdose death in this country has skyrocketed?
Why are people still wearing masks if the border is open? What is the rationale for wearing a mask when we have a situation at our southern border where we are admitting thousands of people about whom we know nothing? But I'm supposed to wear a mask if I have to go to the dentist, or what's the latest CDC report that RSV is going to be so bad that we won't have enough We're starting to hear some of the same phrases that we heard at the outbreak of the pandemic. We might not have enough hospital rooms.
And the governor, I believe this was last week, was asked about that, if he plans on imposing lockdowns and mandates, and he refused to answer the question.
Well, let me not get too far away from
we're drifting.
From the puzzle. Well, it's all one big mess, though, isn't it? Talon Metals will take ore from the Tamarack site in Aiken County and ship it by rail to the site in Mercer County, North Dakota, where Talon will build a $433 million processing plant that will employ 150 people. Most of the plant's workforce will earn $100,000 to $125,000 a year plus benefits, Malin said. Many of the positions will be technical and will be high-quality career-type jobs. Talon Metals has a contract to supply Tesla, a leading manufacturer of electric vehicles, with materials for batteries. One from its mines has high concentrations of nickel, copper, and cobalt. Because of North Dakota's availability of coal ash and its attractive business environment, Talon Metals believes Tesla could be interested in building a plant of its own in North Dakota. Talon is aware, for example, of research to recover rare earth minerals from lignite coal deposits in North Dakota. Talon, the President of the United States, just said we are shutting down all coal mines. Where are you, euphorians? Where are you? Does this cause you to do any linking at all to realize that the attack on American energy is not only foolhardy, it's completely stupid, and hopefully it's all a lie? It's got to be a lie.
Of course it is. But not enough people are realizing that.
Well, that's my puzzle. You're sitting there, you're drinking the Java, and you read this editorial in the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, Biden let it slip Friday. We're shutting the coal mines, and we're shutting them everywhere in the country. And then you finish that, and you finally get to the Pioneer Press, and you turn page 2, and you learn that fly ash, of all things, a byproduct of burning coal, is tremendously useful in mitigating the environmental damage of nickel sulfide waste. I can't take it much more, to tell you the truth. I really can't. I'm just so tired of this attack on America, this need to browbeat us into the belief that somehow our actions are injurious to the planet, and then furthermore, I'm supposed to buy that the answer to that is for me to pay more so we can give money to other people, which will lead to nothing but corruption in the first place.
It's like layaway, Joe. Once you pay the money, then it all goes away. I discovered this staggering statistic, and this is from the Department of Health, the Minnesota Department of Health.
Wait, now stop.
Okay.
And look at me. Now, are you presuming I'm done with the puzzle? Because this
Well, it was
the
the
Department
earlier-
of Health is going to have nothing to do with coal.
It was the earlier link I was trying to make.
So we're back to health now.
Well,
That's
is
fine. We can be. I
the
just
link
want to
of
clarify.
the crisis at the border and the fact that we've had a surge nationwide.
Okay, we're going to be done with coal.
Are
the,
you?
And the ironies. Yes, I can be done with that.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't want to get you off track. That's why
Well,
I was
I'm
waiting.
just trying to keep you somewhat focused,
Holstered. Gotcha.
Yeah.
This is from the Minnesota Department of Health, not a right-wing talk show producer.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Minnesota Department of Health. The growing number of drug overdose deaths in the state of Minnesota. It breaks down to the 7-county
Slow
metro
your voice down.
area, greater Minnesota, and then also statewide.
Slow down.
Okay. In 2011, we had just shy of 589 overdose deaths in the state of Minnesota.
Right.
It has grown exponentially since then to last year, 2021, we had nearly 1,300 statewide. And that's just one state in this country.
And does the Department of Health suggest that this is a result of the open border?
It's not, because why would they say that? But
Because they're Democrats.
well, but because you have to be a complete idiot not to realize that the two have to do with one another. But preliminary data, this is from the Minnesota Department of Health. Preliminary data from 2021 showed a 35% increase in the total number of overdose deaths involving opioids since 2020, an increase of 685 deaths to 924. Drug overdoses from non-opioids also increased 34%. My point being, this is also a problem that they fail to recognize when it's clearly right in front of them.
Of course they do.
That is all, as you were.
And this will just anger GLers. But
This also from their site. The rise in fentanyl circulating in communities could be a contributing factor in the increase of overdose deaths. I'm going to replace could with is.
Yeah,
contributing
definitely
factor.
is. Definitely is.
Resources like fentanyl test strips can help prevent blah, blah, blah. Anyway, don't say blah, blah, blah.
And I wish I could look at this election tomorrow, because I don't vote early.
Yeah, no, often.
I vote tomorrow. I wish I could look at this election as providing some hope that some sort of sanity and common sense will emerge. And I don't see it. I just don't see it.
So there's
On either party, by the way.
right.
On either party, not even particularly. Both parties and the candidates that we have facing us are pathetic. They're pathetic. Yes, Chris?
So there's a new Walls ad in which he's going after Jensen, which of course he is. But it's Walls and Flanagan doing a side-by-side where he's got his flannel shirt on because he's in outstate Minnesota.
I think she has flannel on too.
Well, this one, I don't recall if she did
I
or
know
not.
which one you're referring to. Continue.
The side-by-side, and he's saying, we're gonna cut taxes for the middle class. And so he's listing all of these things that Jensen opposes, but he's going to stand for, to which I want to raise my hand and say, hey, Gov, how come you're not doing that now then? Mm-hmm. We had a $9 billion surplus because you overtaxed our ass for... Who is he kidding?
Not anyone paying attention. He's not kidding anybody who pays attention.
Unfortunately, he's probably going to get reelected. The flannel shirt was a nice touch, by the way. It was really nice.
He's made he's gathered about 5 or 6 extraordinary pensions wearing that flannel shirt.
Mm-hmm.
That flannel shirt has served him well.
He's fighting for us.
I don't want any fighting. I want common sense. I want someone to stand up and say, wait a minute, why are we attacking American energy? And then Biden has to obsequiously approach Saudi Arabia to get oil when he's clearly admits,
Right.
This idiot admits that no more drilling.
Nope.
No, I'm not approving any drilling. And then you bitch at the oil companies for not producing more? None of this makes sense to me.
It's backwards town, Joe.
None of this makes sense to me.
And then he asked him, well, if you're going to do that, if you're going to cut off production, can you wait till after the midterms? Can you wait till then, at least?
And I'm old enough to tell you euphorians that, and you Mysterians, I feel that I make no headway in telling you these things, but I'll tell them to you anyway.
I'm wasting my time and breath.
I'm not arguing with you, euphorian. I'm telling you why you're wrong.
There, it sounds like you're talking to us.
Great strides have been made in the production and use of American energy. And the part I was going to tell you about being old is that there used to be, I don't know what it was. It was a coal plant or a coal burning plant on Como off Snelling near the fairgrounds. I don't know what it was. But in the winter, it would be speckled black on the snow.
Okay.
You'll never see that today.
No.
Never see that today. That's a very minor point I'm trying to make, but the powers that be said, well, we can't have this crap in the air. Let's take care of it.
Soot,
and it got taken care of. And people used to have in their homes what were called incinerators.
Oh, yeah. My both grandparents
we
had
had one when I was a kid. And you literally burned your trash.
Well, I got news for you. I had a grandfather that was still burning trash up until about 2015.
I guess my point is that we came up throughout history. America came up with the discovery of oil and the use of coal. And with each succeeding year or decade or half century, we improved upon those discoveries. We made them more palatable to the environment. We've done everything possible to make it as agreeable as possible. And that whole dynamic of American life is under attack by complete fools who have no answers. They just think they know better than what has served us well. They think they know better, and they don't. Only to discover, and I promise this will complete the puzzle question for today, only to discover that you apparently are in agreement with the government ordering you to drive an electric vehicle, and you're only too happy to run out and buy some $67,000 POS with a 200-mile range, only to discover that to get the materials needed for that battery, you're going to create significant environmental problems for both air and water, and only to discover that fly ash, a byproduct of burning coal to generate electricity, will go a long way into mitigating that problem. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know who's back with this? The people that think about this kind of stuff.
Really?
The center of the American experiment. And they've got a great deal coming up. They've got the Golden Turkey Awards. Kind of like Patrick's deal.
I was just going to say.
Exactly,
only it's the real world. The Center of the American Experiment has unveiled the 2022 Golden Turkey Awards. Minnesota government wastes a lot of money. Each year, American Experiment gives out the Golden Turkey Award to the best waste of money. Now, you can go to the AmericanExperiment.org and read more about this for yourself. But for example, $250 million in the food scam.
Yes.
$6,000 grants for self-love, strippers, and dancing in the dark. Oh, yeah, you got that. The creative support. Yeah. $1.3 million to pay kids to go outside. Well, most kids used to play outside voluntarily.
Just do it. Yeah, they just do it.
Now we need a state program. The Department of Natural Resources No Child Left Inside program was awarded I didn't even know this. Which awarded $1.3 million to 153 organizations in 2022. Nominations are currently open for another round of grants. Clearly, we have money to burn if there's a state grant to encourage kids to go outside.
I thought that was a bit.
It's not a bit.
You're kidding me.
No. $20,000 to promote outrageous home remedies for COVID-19.
Oh, my God.
Forget about ventilators, masks, test kits, and vaccines. During the height of the pandemic, Governor Walz's Department of Health spent $19,700 on the real solution to COVID-19, sauerkraut. The grant also funded a video seen by a mere 17 people called Traditional Ways of Health and Wellness, How to Stay Healthy During COVID-19 and Beyond, as well as wellness bundles full of herbal teas, dried sage, dried sweetgrass, and immunity-supporting lozenges. The center of the American experiment is the original pushback operation in Minnesota. We're glad to have them back with us. Subscribe to their magazine. Check out the website for the events they hold. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
Seafoamworks.com is an excellent source on the proper use of all the Seafoam products. They also have some really good advice on their website on reviving bad-running small engines. Now, if you don't know how, it's really nothing to fear. It's pretty easy to learn. Basically, throw in a new plug, new air cleaner, clean that carb out. You know, a blast of top engine cleaner from Seafoam will do that. Clean out that gas tank. That means drain it. And then use fresh gas with a gulp of Seafoam motor treatment. The motor treatment can also be used to stabilize your fuel for up to 2 years. You hear us talking about that all the time on GL, making it ideal for storing your seasonal stuff. And everything it does for small engines, it's also going to do for your automobile, truck, tractor, and everything else, both gas and diesel powered. It's great preventive medicine. And it's great for reviving engines and trannies, too, for that matter, with Seafoam Tranny Tune. You got to check out this website. Pop around on it. Check it out, seafoamworks.com. And you can buy the stuff almost anywhere. That's what I love about them. Our local company with a global reach and a true miracle in a world of bad gas, Seafoam.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
CallRiseandShine.com, Joe. That's the website. CallRiseandShine.com. Also, their phone number, 651-300-3252. That's the number for our new guys at CallRiseandShine.com.
So the word call is in the website.
Correct. And that's important.
CallRiseandShine.com.
We finally have Garage Door Guys. Being a Garage Logic podcast, it's about damn time. And they have a perfect 5-star rating on both Google and Yelp. And that's because customer service is their number one most important thing to Rise and Shine Garage Doors. They are locally and family owned. Josh and Alex, true GLers, they grew up right here in the Twin Cities. And you also get a 5% discount for seniors and military members. And if you have AAA too, that also applies. Certified technicians, they have 3 IDEA certified master techs on their staff, and they will continue to add more. And they're expanding. Maybe you don't live in the Twin Cities and think, well, I can't call them. No. They're expanding. Rochester, St. Cloud, Mankato, Northfield, Isanti, Cambridge, and also parts of western Wisconsin. And don't forget to ask about their Rooster Club membership that includes a tune-up on an annual basis, and they will waive the trip charge. That's right. Call riseandshine.com. Please let them know you heard about them here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Before we introduce John, I want to read a quick note from Bert because I had similar thoughts. John, and I know you don't even get a paper, so I won't ask you.
I read it online.
I'm sure you do. John, did you see yesterday on the front page of the Star Tribune the article about pickleball?
I did, yes.
And it was an article describing the injuries you can get while playing pickleball.
Sure. Yep.
And I thought, what the hell? You can get hurt blowing your nose. I mean, I'm glad the good folks at the paper were able to inform me that physical endeavors can result in injury. This is useful. As I scanned the article looking for the inevitable equity angle, which fortunately wasn't there, I thought of something. I have folks close to me who enjoy this sport and are still lucid and ambulatory, and I wondered if they might need a pickleball helmet. I'm off to Marlene's House of Helmets to check on the pickleball helmet inventory. I thought the same thing. You're telling me that if I play pickleball, I could get an injury?
Yeah, it's especially the story noted because pickleball players tend to be, upper 60s, maybe in that age frame. I read the whole story, and after I read it, I thought to myself, this is the silliest damn
You can get
thing
an
I've
injury
ever seen.
tying your shoes.
Here's today's helmet update.
Go to Marlene's House of Helmets for your pickleball helmet. Here's John Heidt.
Thank you very much. Say, before I start the news that bump that Chris played, I wanted you to know, Dylan is visiting. He's home.
Yeah.
I just want you to know you're very worried about his whole musical endeavors.
Yeah.
He's been putting a lot of time into music, so you'll be happy to hear that, I think. With stuff for bumps, with stuff with other musicians.
To succeed, he's just going to have to ignore you.
It wasn't me that brought
the
this up.
industry's too hard. You can't do it.
That was him, not
Where
me.
did Alabama Shakes come from overnight?
That was they're here. You want to feel old? Their first album's 10 years old. What do you mean overnight?
Oh,
yeah. There you go.
No, but I mean 10 years ago. Where'd they come from? I mean, that was it happens.
Different than it was.
It happens. It happens.
And it wasn't my idea.
I'm on Dylan's side. I'm on Dylan's side.
I'm not.
If I was going to vote, I'd say I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, in the news, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources expects more than 500,000 deer hunters to hit the woods before the deer season concludes in December. Pre-pandemic numbers from the DNR showed retail sales connected to the deer hunt met $260 million in retail sales.
Wow.
And generated $33 million in sales taxes. Minnesota Whitetails Unlimited Field Director Buck Nordloff. Isn't that ironic?
That's a great name, isn't it, John?
Buck, for a guy who's a Whitetail Unlimited Field
That's
Director.
That's right.
Buck.
Named Buck.
He told our friends at 5 Eyewitness News, small businesses across the entire state benefit tremendously from the 4-month deer hunt, and that boost especially helps small towns and cities, and it's a recreational activity that is expanding beyond men in Minnesota. Buck said, I believe the number of women is one of the fastest growing groups in the sport. I think women are actually growing. That segment is growing faster than youth hunters even. Nordloff said hunters will also donate thousands of pounds of venison, which will make their way to food shelves across Minnesota for the holiday season.
Do guys still bring them home strapped to the hood of the car? I love those old pictures. A 1954 Ford and two guys with the Elmer Fudd hats on, and they got that deer strapped right to the hood of the car.
Barreling down 61.
Here we go.
Yeah, you see them on occasion still, once in a while, not often. Tomorrow is Election Day, of course.
Thank God.
Polls here in Minnesota open 7 in the morning until 8 in the evening. Now, this is kind of cool. I found this over the weekend. To find out where you vote and to see a sample ballot for where you live, head to the Secretary of State's website at www.sos.state.mn.us. Now, what's cool about this website, it shows you everybody running for everything in your district, and it links you to any candidate that has a website. So if you're not up on their views, perhaps, or you want to see who to vote for, you can study up on their thoughts and views. Okay? It's pretty cool. Trust me. I spent a little time. Boy, look at the cynical look on Chris's face right now.
I didn't say
what
anything.
The hell are you talking about?
Are you voting tomorrow?
I'm going to before I come to work.
Yeah.
The reason I'm chuckling and it's reminding me of a news story I saw this morning where they were talking about early voting and don't forget to vote tomorrow and I'm not ripping the news people for saying this, but they said, and don't forget, if you have a mail-in ballot, if you put in the mail today, it's too late.
It's too late. Yeah.
I just have to someday. If you're that dumb that you don't realize that if you put your ballot in the mail today, it's not going to get counted tomorrow, you shouldn't be voting.
Yeah. Well, it had to be in the mail about a week and a half ago, though.
Right. So, but my point is, if they really felt it that they had to say that because too many people believe that, then you probably shouldn't be voting.
No American institution I hold in more suspicion than voting.
We of course disagree on this, Joe, as we've talked about many times.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you'd like to see your ballot, go to www.sos.state.mn.us.
Well, John, where do you stand on providing ID to vote?
I don't think you need to show an ID to vote.
Why not? You got to show an ID for virtually everything else in the world.
So to register, you mean, right?
Well, I don't care, register or whatever, but if they ask me for my ID, I'll be glad to provide it.
Yeah, but tomorrow I won't show an ID. They won't ask for one.
Well, I won't either.
But I may have to because I'm voting in a new what would you call it?
I'm fine with that
Because I've moved since the last time I voted last year.
Precinct.
There, thank you. So
if you're not registered to vote there, I have no problem with you having to show an ID or having somebody to vote for you. One of the two, depending.
Well, don't you just bring a utility bill? Isn't that typically what you do?
Utility bill. What do they say? Something with your address, right? Is that the way it's supposed to work? I think telling it's you. Yeah. Anyway. Today, the city of Minneapolis has a new police chief. He is Brian O'Hara, of course, officially sworn in after he was unanimously approved by the city council last week. Mayor Jacob Fry nominated O'Hara for the job. According to O'Hara, his top priorities are addressing violence while working through the department's ongoing staffing issues. Previously, he was the director of police services in the mayor's office of Newark, New Jersey, where he was also an officer for the past 2 decades. A Minnesota-based music death. We've lost Mimi Parker from the band Low. Parker, from the Duluth-based trio, who found international acclaim during the 1990s and after, died Saturday night after suffering from ovarian cancer. Her softer voice was considered a contrast from husband Alan Sparhawk's gruffer voice and the band's sometimes grungy sound. News of her death at the age of 55 announced in a statement by her husband on Lowe's Twitter feed. Band had a pretty big following here, but a large following in Great Britain. One of the best-known fans of the group, Led Zeppelin singer Robert Plant, who re-recorded 2 Lowe songs on his 2010 album, Band of Joy. Again, Mimi Parker was 55.
Where are you on Lowe, John?
I'm not a huge fan. I have no dislike for them. I just, the stuff I've heard it's there.
What kind of genre would you call it?
I would call it, like modern alt pop. I mean, some of it was loud, some not. I mean, I haven't heard it in a long time. I'll give you that.
All right.
I haven't heard anything by them in a while. But
well, it's a shame we lost that gal. She's getting quite the condolences.
Way too young. Mm-hmm. President Biden's top national security advisor has engaged in recent months in confidential conversations with top aides to Russian President Vladimir Putin, trying to reduce the risk of a broader conflict over Ukraine and warning Moscow against using nuclear or other weapons of mass destruction, according to U.S. and allied officials. The official said that U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan had been in contact with Yuri Ushakov, a foreign policy advisor to Putin. Sullivan also has spoken with his direct counterpart in the Russian government, Nikolai Patrushev. The aim has been to guard against the risk of escalation and keep communication channels open, not to discuss a settlement of the war in Ukraine, according to the officials. Meanwhile, Russian Marines in Ukraine have said their, quote, incompetent generals are treating them as cannon fodder, after their outfit suffered devastating losses, with 300 men reportedly killed or wounded in 4 days of heavy fighting in eastern Ukraine. Marines from Russia's 155th Naval Infantry Brigade wrote a scathing letter to their regional governor, claiming they had lost the 300 servicemen in a 4-day massacre in Pavlivka, thanks to the catastrophic planning of their generals. Soldiers claimed Russian commanders were hiding the mayhem in the region and playing down the number of losses for fear of being held responsible.
I know attrition has already started to set in, because aren't they basically just pulling people off the street and forcing them to fight at this point?
That's been going on for some time.
Well, my point is, at what point are guys just going to say, no, I'm not doing this?
Well, they can't. They'll be killed or taken to a prison.
There must be a group, isn't there, though, that is just hoping Putin dies so that they can say, here's what we're going to do now. We're going to stop this war. We're going to, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's assuming that his successor would be sane.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's got to be more sane than Putin, though.
I don't know. I don't know.
I would think
Russians are bad. That's my limb I'm standing on.
Well, here's another Russian story, as long as we're talking Russians. Yevgeny Prigozhin, an ally of Vladimir Putin, said Russia has interfered in U.S. elections in the past and will continue to do so. In the past, Russia has denied ever having any part in interfering. In a post on the Russian social media sites via his catering firm, Prigozhin said, "We have interfered, we are interfering, we will continue to interfere. We'll do it carefully, accurately, surgically, and in our own way, as we know how to do." Prigozhin has been dubbed Putin's chef for securing valuable Kremlin catering contracts. He's been accused of attempts to subvert past U.S. elections through his control of troll farms, which flooded social media platforms with disinformation and multiple conspiracy theories. U.S. congressional and intelligence reports have concluded Russia has launched multiple attempts to interfere in U.S. elections, most notably in 2016 when they say Russia backed the candidacy of Donald Trump. On Saturday, the New York Times reported Russia is attempting to interfere in tomorrow's midterm elections. Speaking of elections, rumors have former President Trump readying his announcement to run for the presidency in 2024. Yeah, it should be reported, by the way. I know we occasionally get the email that says, why are we still talking about Trump? Well, he's still making news, folks. I know that may disturb you or may not, but he's making news. Over the weekend, as a matter of fact, he went after the candidate who might pose the biggest problem for him in the Republican Party. At a rally in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Trump brought up a recent survey of Republican primary voters showing him well ahead of the 2024 GOP primary among potential candidates. And while talking about getting 71% in the poll, he fired a shot across the bow at the second-place candidate, whom he called Ron DeSanctimonious. Of course, is aimed at Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. Now, the Republicans took after Trump on Twitter for the statement, and the next day at a rally, apparently to make up for the statement, Trump said the people of Florida are going to reelect Ron DeSantis as their governor.
Yeah.
The Washington Post is giving, I love this saying right here, the Washington Post giving President Biden a bottomless Pinocchio in a fact check of several recent claims he's made.
Wait a minute, a bottomless Pinocchio?
Yes. I'll explain that and what that means in a minute.
Okay.
In statements he's recently made, including statements about social security. He wrote, folks, I spent a lot of time with Xi Jinping than any other head of state. I've traveled 17,000 miles with him. President made that speech in San Diego. Well, Glenn Kessler wrote that the Post has fact-checked that claim, and it's incorrect, and the president has said it over 20 times. During the Trump administration, the Post had created the new rating, the bottomless Pinocchio, for claims that had been given 3 Pinocchios. In other words, they were lies, and had been repeated at least 20 times. Kessler writes, now Biden is earning his own bottomless Pinocchios. The analysis also fact-checked the president's claims that seniors were getting an increase in their Social Security checks for the first time in 10 years. We talked about this. They're getting the increase because, well, inflation has gone very high under the Biden administration, not because his administration is giving people the increase. And last but not least, President Biden also claimed recently that gas was over $5 a gallon when he took office.
That's not true.
That's not true. That's correct. It's true. He said gas has fallen $1.50, and he's correct, but it's fallen $1.50 since last summer. But when Biden took office, Gas Buddy had the average price of gas at $2.39 a gallon, about $1 less than it is right now. So there you go.
You know what
That's
Biden is?
Pinocchio.
He's a James Thurber character. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. He'll say, in the story, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Walter will be waiting for his wife who goes into the doctor's office, and Walter will think he's piloting a World War II plane, but he's shooting people. And this idiot thinks he's been a school teacher and whatever. He's a Thurber character.
Yeah.
He lives a fantasy life.
But the people he's delivering this message to, are their short-term memories just that poor, or are they just that stupid that they believe that?
Stupid.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we've come to a political age where you just believe the people you want to believe, whether it's true or not.
I think you're right, John.
That makes sense? Does that make sense?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Pope Francis said Sunday the Catholic Church was working, quote, as best we can to fight clerical child abuse, but admitted there are shortfalls. During a press conference while returning from Bahrain, where he had been promoting dialogue with Islam, the pontiff said child abuse inside the church is a tragic thing. He said, we're working as best we can, but there are people within the church who don't see it clearly. It's an ongoing process that we are carrying out with courage. The abuse scandal erupted in the second half of the 1980s, sparking an avalanche of allegations about pedophile priests around the world, from Australia to Chile, France, and the United States. The Pope has insisted the church will adopt a zero-tolerance approach to abuse, but critics say A lot of countries have yet to seriously confront the issue. As Joe talked about, tomorrow's not only Election Day, but it's also the date of the two lunar events that you don't want to miss. A full moon and the last total lunar eclipse till 2025.
The blood moon.
The Farmer's Almanac says the full moon, also known as the beaver moon, is expected just after 6 a.m. Tuesday, 1 hour before sunrise. The recurring names of full moon cycles dates back to many Native American tribes, according to the Almanac. Also on Tuesday, people across several continents will be able to see the last total lunar eclipse until 2025. The Associated Press reporting North Americans, especially those farther west, will see the eclipse before dawn. Then Asians, Australians, and people throughout the rest of the Pacific Ocean will see it after sunset. AP adds that Uranus is expected to appear like a bright star just a finger's width above the moon. That's odd because they're far away. We don't usually get to see that. The event is projected to last almost an hour and a half as Earth sits between the sun and the moon. If you miss it, you'll have to wait until 2025, like the majority of Europeans, Africans, and Middle Easterns.
Last night with that damn near full moon and the howling wind.
Boy, she was bright, huh?
Doesn't get much better than that.
That was gorgeous last night.
Can't sleep with the full moon, though.
Was it that? Was it that or that evil time change?
Could have been the time change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of the night sky, here's something you can't do a whole lot about. Northern California officials are looking into the possibility a meteorite destroyed a home in Nevada County.
I saw this, yeah.
Really?
The house caught fire after several witnesses described a bright ball of light falling from the sky. It's quiet in that secluded area of Nevada County where there are rolling hills and cattle, where nothing happens much, according to the folks that live there. Dustin Procida, whose home may have been struck by the meteor, said people around here are multi-generational cattle farmers or ranchers.
Did you say Nevada or California, Johnny?
Nevada
it's California,
County.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nevada County.
I'm sorry.
Captain Josh Miller with the Penn Valley Fire Department said wide open spaces, and this was kind of a farm cattle ranch, not much around it. Procida said, I heard a big bang. I started to smell smoke. I went onto my porch, and it was completely engulfed in flames.
Wow.
It appears a bright ball of light, which lit up the dark Northern California sky around 7:30 p.m., landed out in the middle of nowhere. Penn Valley Fire Department, along with CAL FIRE, battled the flames for hours, now investigating what started the fire. Captain Miller said meteorite, asteroid, one of those two. I had one individual tell me about it first and okay, I'll put that in the back of my mind. But then more people started talking about it, and I started to believe it.
So we've got the photo of the house, and they've got the still shot of the homeowner.
Yeah.
Boy, he's lucky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why? I'm missing your point.
I don't get it either.
I was talking to a big shot pilot the other night.
Okay.
Flies to Paris routinely, that type of
nice
upper echelon pilot. And I said, do you ever see really weird, neat stuff? And I was really waiting for a good answer. And he went, not really.
Kind of anticlimactic.
Northern Lights are cool.
You wanted, UFOs.
I wanted aliens.
Yeah, you wanted that kind of stuff.
Aliens.
I want a UFO up there.
Yeah.
Give me something.
In case you're wondering, by the way, Procida said it's a 1 in 4 trillion chance. He said that's what scientists have told him. Your house is going to get hit. So he was going to go buy a lottery ticket.
Joe, you know what he can do? Oh, go ahead.
Nobody won the Powerball last night.
I got a dumb question for which I should be mocked mercilessly.
We will.
Okay, I did buy one for Saturday night's drawing.
And I forgot. I forgot.
$2. Now, is that one still good for this drawing?
No.
You got to buy a new one each drawing?
Correct.
Boy, they got to scam.
Well, that's why it rolls over and why the amount continues to increase.
The amount grows every time. 1.9 billion today.
You know what the meteor guy could do?
When's the next drawing?
Tomorrow.
Tonight.
Oh, it's tonight. You're right. I'm sorry.
Tuesday.
You're right.
Or Monday. I'm sorry. Monday.
Maybe I'll buy a ticket.
You know what this guy could do? Much like what you had to pay for. He could charge $20 to see people look at his house, like you did in Arizona.
Oh, that was for that hole in the ground. How did it miss that visitor center?
I don't know, but it was right next to it.
You know, October is come and gone. Estate planning month is over. The month is over.
But
not the need for an estate plan. Get a hold of my people at Eckberg Lammers Law Firm. They've been creating estate plans and wills for people for more than 70 years, and I highly recommend it because it keeps your stuff out of the hands of the courts and out of the hands of the government. You all have stuff. Don't be put off by the word estate. I don't care if you got $500 or 500 million. When you die, and unfortunately we're all going to, you want your family to be left with some smooth operating conditions. And that's what Eckberg Lammers takes care of. They take care of the estate plan. And as I say, if you don't think you need one, think again. You've got stuff and you're going to die. If you don't have a plan in place, the courts will decide for you. This can affect taxes. This can affect everything for those loved ones you leave behind. You want to leave them a smooth plan. The estate planning team at Eckberg Lammers can help you make sure your estate will transition smoothly the way you want. And they take care of, let's say you're selling property in the family.
Mm-hmm.
That can be problematic. They'll get in there and help you with that too. Make an appointment with Eckberg Lammers at 651-439-2878 or visit eckberglammers.com/will.
Hi, I'm Ying Wang Pao, asking for your vote for County Commissioner if you live on the east side. I am honored to be endorsed by Sheriff Bob Fletcher.
This is Ying Wang Pao, candidate for County Commissioner. I worked with her father for 20 years. He was a great leader in the community, and I had the honor of being a very good friend with BP. She's going to carry on that same tradition as a leader in her community, working for kids and families, and she understands the importance of raising kids, but also holding them accountable and making sure the justice system doesn't just fail these children. So I'm excited to be endorsing Ying. I hope you'll support her as well.
I'm Ying Wang Pao, and I approve this message.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
I think it's worth always keeping up to date on the food fraud scandal. I think it's such a significant scandal that voting for any incumbent comes into play who holds a statewide office.
Well, the Ryan Wilson, is it Ryan Wilson? Is that his name?
He's the auditor.
Running for state auditor. Isn't that a slam dunk? If you don't vote for him, you're an idiot.
Attorney General, Governor. I mean, really, $250 million. But this latest one causes me to have thoughts. A Plymouth woman, this is the play story today in the Star Tribune, and I'm grateful for it. I hope they stay with it. A Plymouth woman labeled a serial fraudster by prosecutors pleaded guilty Friday to her roles in Minnesota's massive federal spending nutrition program scandal and an earlier, just a minute.
Careful. Oh, that was a big one.
Wow.
You didn't hurt yourself playing pickleball or sneezing, did you?
Her roles in Minnesota's massive federal nutrition program scandal and an earlier Medicaid fraud case where she stole more than $9.5 million.
Oh, a new one. Is she connected to the daycare fraud one too?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Oh boy, another one coming on.
Bless you again.
God bless it. Well, if it wasn't 40 below in this room,
it's
a knob. I'm leading up to a point here. Trust me. Arnab Artan Awad, 52, admitted that she fabricated paperwork for feeding children in Osseo, Faribault, and Minneapolis to defraud the federal government of millions of dollars. She acknowledged inflating meal counts and serving only a fraction of the 3.8 million meals she claimed to have provided to children during the pandemic.
3.8 million.
She's the fifth person to plead guilty since the charges were announced in September. So far, 50 people have been charged in what prosecutors say is the largest pandemic-related fraud case in the nation. Okay, I'm not going to read you the whole story because we know pretty much the basics. Here's where I continue to be puzzled. Will we ever really know the extent of culpability of people who should have known about this. If the feds play their cards where they fall, maybe we will. But as much as I appreciate the feds trying to get to the bottom of this, I somehow don't believe they will. I somehow believe that certain people at the highest levels of the state, and I'm not saying they stole any money. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. How can you have working for you someone so apparently empty-headed that you'd sign off for a ticket that some woman is submitting claiming she has served 3.8 million meals? Where is the personal responsibility? I don't care what level of government you're working at. You don't have more pride than that?
No.
That you'd sign off on a voucher. Oh, this person served 3.8 million. We better get her 3.8 million meals. We owe her whatever amount it was.
9.5 mil.
No, that was the Medicaid fraud.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're tough to keep track of.
Right.
But the answer is no, Joe, because this turned into a game of not trying to find the root problem. This turned into a game of CYA with all these people. Case in point was Ellison, who started to blame everybody but his office.
I'm not saying Ellison stole a nickel. I'm not saying Walls stole a nickel. I don't believe they did.
But
I'm not saying Ilhan Omar stole a nickel. Well, I'm not saying she did. What I am saying is, are we this poorly served by our government?
Yes.
Are we this poorly served that the Department of Education and the head of that needs to go? The Department of Education has in its employ people who aren't sharp enough to say, wait, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right here.
I'm not letting the elected class off the hook as easily as you are, and here's why.
I'm not letting them for stealing money?
Here's why.
I don't believe they stole money.
Hold on, here's why. How did all of these ancillary groups, how did they act so quickly and so abruptly and so efficiently in the midst of the pandemic? How did they have all of this information at their disposal so quickly? Because they acted pretty swift once all of the restrictions were lifted due to the pandemic.
Amy Bach was the one who allegedly
was the ringmaster.
Figured that was the key to this operation, was the feds lifting some of the rules and regulations to further speed up the process of feeding children. They removed some of the hoops you had to jump through. That doesn't excuse what I'm saying. Are we that poorly led?
Yes.
That we have people working for us. We pay them. Our tax dollars pay them. And they're so disengaged from reality that, what's her name shows up? Anab Artan Awad, a serial fraudster, shows up and says, well, where's my payment? I just fed 3.8 million meals. You did what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so I paid 3.8 million. I fed 3.8 million people.
Oh, okay.
We got people who either don't know how to do their job or we're just letting it all slide.
Let it slide.
Just sign on it and say, here you go.
I'm curious,
because you can't be that stupid, like you said.
And I'm curious, with that guilty plea that she just made, how much time is she going to be serving?
Oh, not enough for my taste, but
I mean, is this seriously?
She'll serve some time.
Is that we don't know that, or
that's we don't know that?
Okay.
Yeah.
You right there, Sneezy?
Well, I got the sneezes going here. I got a little nose deal.
He walked in. He said, "I'm Sneezy." Well, which one are you?
I just remain astonished at the level of
incompetence.
No, the level of what apparently was just this dangerously cavalier attitude that you don't quit. 3.5. I told you. I went to this place in St. Paul that's part of this, although I haven't been charged with anything.
And you walked around and they asked who
it was a storefront from which they billed tens of millions of dollars. And it's not plausible. It's not plausible.
Yeah. Do you think part of it was the rush with the pandemic?
Yes.
You know what I mean? They kind of
part of it. The part of it was. This is really giving Amy Bach a lot of credit. However, allegedly she's the ringleader. That Amy Bach was so intuitive and so clever. She must have forecasted the way. This is just my speculation. She must have allegedly forecasted how urgently state leaders would become consumed with the pandemic to the point where she was making bets that she could get away with this.
And she did for the most part until,
Isn't that something?
Well,
now,
it's maddening.
if that's true, she should be governor. Someone that shrewd. No, I mean,
I understand.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
I want someone that's smart running the show. With who's not criminally bent.
Someone
However,
like
allegedly.
her. Someone
that sharp to say, I'm running the state here, and we're not going to put up with any time.
So can I tweet that out? Joe wants Amy Bach to be Minnesota's
you know
next
damn
governor.
well what I meant. What I
Vote
meant
tomorrow. Please
what I
write
meant
her in.
was she obviously is much smarter than the people she allegedly defrauded.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
Maybe that's who Pat wrote in because he has 2 "I voted" stickers on his shirt.
Well, he's a lefty, and I'm sure he figured out a way to vote twice.
Murray County and Hennepin
I
County.
went to Prior Lake. But I couldn't let that pass today without bringing that up, and I'm going to bring it up every time I see it. Who is it that's going home at night and is able to look in the mirror and say, I'm the one who signed off on this? How can you?
But we live in an age, Joe, where there's so much disinterest that even when this stuff is called out, as you have been doing for months now, I'm afraid that a lot of people just say, oh, well, what am I going to do about it? And that's the current state that we live in.
And I think the more complex the story, the more people get like that,
Correct.
Chris. I think you're right. And
Yeah.
this is a fairly complex story.
But what I laid out today is not complex.
Well,
It's
I
very
agree.
basic. Here comes
That's true.
somebody that's going to claim they fed 3.8 million kids.
Well, yeah, that's obvious.
And then even if they supplied the names, apparently the names were false. They didn't exist. But all you have to question is the number. There aren't 3.8 million kids in the 5-state area.
That doesn't matter. We're
Much
serving
less
those meals.
Faribault,
I know.
Minneapolis, and Fridley. 3.8 million kids. Who goes home at night and said, wait a minute, did I really do that? Hope nobody questions. Hope nobody.
I hope nobody wonders.
Whatever.
Hope nobody
About that
asked me
number.
anything
Are
about
the Wild
it.
playing tonight? I got
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Is The Bachelor on tonight?
Oh, don't eat. Yeah.
Where are we here,
That's
people?
where we're at, Joe. That's
To
why
answer,
Go ahead.
Chris, your question to answer, she could be sentenced to 5 years and 3 months.
Boy.
But we don't know.
So
if we'll get
that's
that,
5 years of she won't be involved in any scandals. Although these people might be clever enough to run them from prison. And don't forget, we're gonna the feds are gonna ship more than $1 billion to states or maybe just Minnesota for tree and equity programs. Be careful who runs that.
Okay, so $9.5 million.
That was the Medicaid fraud, Chris. Get that out of your head. I'm talking about the food fraud.
I know. What I'm doing is I'm doing some math. So 9.5 divided by 5. Oh man, that's not bad. $600,000 a year?
No, it's 2 different cases, Chris. We just told you.
I'm just saying.
You're being,
I'm making a
I see.
point.
You're being,
I'm just making a point.
Well, and you're making a stupid point.
I'm saying for 5 years' time, she's going to walk. That's what
Just a minute.
Well, no, that is Chris is correct. $9.5 million between
Thank
2
you.
cases.
Thank you.
For Anab or
Thank you.
Tornawad.
Thank you, John.
Sorry, Chris.
That's all right.
If you were offended by what I said,
I'm never offended by you, Johnny. I'm never offended when I get ripped all the time on the show. Hey, do you know what agrarious means?
No, agrarian.
Agrarian.
Dang it. Agrarian.
We've lost America's now.
Aquarius.
That's what I was thinking.
Aquarius.
What was that in? That was in a movie.
We've already
it's from Hare Aquarius.
We've already seized $50 million in property tied to the fraud, including 60 bank accounts, 45 parcels of real property, 14 vehicles, jewelry, and other items. At one Minneapolis site in early 2021, Awad claimed to serve 12,600 meals a day. 12,600 meals a day.
Jeez.
But Friday, she admitted that only a fraction of those meals were served. In Faribault, she claimed to serve more than 2,000 kids, but none of the names on attendance rosters matched students enrolled in the city schools. Prosecutors said she submitted fake invoices for buying food from Fahad Noor, 38 of Minneapolis, who ran a vending company called The Produce LLC, but actually provided no food.
Oh, weird.
She also claimed to receive food from Haji Salad, 32 of St. Anthony, who ran Haji's Kitchen. Salad has pleaded not guilty. Noor was charged but fled the U.S. about a week after the FBI executed search warrants. Awad was sponsored by here's the place I went and visited. Awad was sponsored by a St. Paul nonprofit called Partners in Nutrition. They got a storefront on 7th Street.
You went and looked at it.
Which handled paperwork and submitted the reimbursement claims. And to my astonishment, Partners in Nutrition has not been charged with anything. Partners in Nutrition and Feeding Our Future were among the largest sponsors of local federal nutrition programs during the pandemic. Amy Bach, who prosecutors say was the scheme's leader, was founder and executive director of Feeding Our Future and had previously worked for Partners in Nutrition. She pleaded not guilty. Partners in Nutrition has not been named in indictments. I can't imagine why. And no one associated with the St. Paul nonprofit has been criminally charged. Okay. Anyway, I guess you guys have answered the question. Are we that poorly served? And
yes.
We're all in agreement that we are.
Yes.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga, South Africa, from the Traveling Lymans at worldwidewaftage.com. It was on this day.
Joe, today is November 7th.
In 1885, the steamer Algoma wrecked on Isle Royal, killing nearly 50 passengers.
Wow.
I wonder if they were out in some rough seas, huh? On this day in 1889, Northfield illuminated its streets by installing 67 electric lights.
Wow.
I bet that was exciting.
Sure.
I bet that was festive as hell.
Yeah. And on this day in 1905,
November 7th,
Horace Austin, 6th governor of the state, died in Minneapolis. He was born October 15th, 1931 in Canterbury, Connecticut, after serving as a judge in Minnesota's 6th District. In 1869, Austin won the governor's seat over Democrat George Otis. As governor, Austin would establish a state board of health, divide the state into 3 congressional districts, and initiate a geological and natural history survey supervised by the state university. Thank you, GLers.
Yes.
Remember, when you go to the polls, how poorly served we've been.
Aren't we preaching to the choir, essentially, in that regard?
Yeah.
GLers, after you get done voting, make sure you head on over, and often, by the way, make sure you head on over to the Garage Logic YouTube page and hitting that subscribe button where you will have the opportunity to have daily content at your disposal. You can also see us on all of our social media channels, which are Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And as we've been saying, don't forget, join the Garage Logic Town Council for just $10 a month, $100 a year, 24/7 access. John Heidt.
We're gonna talk in the town council in just a minute or two about this Aquarius thing, Chris. 'Cause I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I have what I thought you were talking about. And, not my best effort today.